20-minute zero increment game. Let's have a look at the answer process. As usual, simple direct moves to remove pieces from the board strategically, no fancy airs or graces. So simple capture here, it's pretty straightforward. Positionally, doesn't harm us in any way, going to grab. So we're potentially going to be unsettling their king, so we get the 20 pointer, which means obviously the king can't go and castle, so it is a massive advantage. Now this position I do not like, and I keep on doing the same stuff because this pawn is available. It looks pretty simple and straightforward. We're attacking a piece that's unprotected, but somehow we still end up in a position that it looks fairly evenish, but probably might be a bit more advantageous to black. Okay, so the king's come across. Now I would normally just go and castle, and does that lose me the tempo? I'm actually going to bring the knight out this time, developing, and then attack this bishop. Just keep the pressure on, keep giving them a problem until such time as then I can go and castle. I don't want to give them the advantage. I'm going to take the bishop, so it's giving them something to think about. And again, we could bring this bishop here, attacking the pawn, or we could develop the dark square bishop. It's not really hitting anything. If we do that, it's x-raying through to the rook, and the bishop's kind of tied there for a moment. His knight's just going to come out though and attack it, isn't it? Let's bring this bishop here. Maybe we're baiting the pawn to come down. I mean, the knight can still come here and it'll still attack the bishop if it goes there. I'm going to take that off the board and continue with that motion now. Alright, so I don't think I've done this opening like this before. It's based on what the opponent's actually done though as well, so I think it's made it a little bit easier for us. And they're going for the cheapie from a distance. Can you see? We go and castle, then they come down, pawn can't take. Let's just go here. And let's castle on the queen side. So this type of opening, oh, they're looking to get rid of the bishop. Doesn't like the bishop. We could leave that our bishop there. Yeah, we could leave that there. Where is the next attacking position really? This is a half open file. This is half open file. How do we want to play? If we take, it brings his pawn into the centre. He's got more pawns in the centre. But this pawn is going to get taken by our rook. So let's take the bishop off the board, and then we're on top of these pawns. Obviously the king's coming down to defend, but it's giving us a moment, and we can bring the rook up now, maybe looking to, I think they're going to just bring the rook here, but we'll just take the rooks off the board and take the chance with the king. Try and fight off this double pawn situation. Yep, so they're going for it. Is there anything better? Before we do that, we could look to try and just maintain some sort of semblance here and just keep that tension. Just bring this rook back. If he takes, then we take, then we're owning the file. Because I don't think we need to rush it really, do we? We're +1. Takes, king goes back, and we've got pawn majority on this side. He's got double pawns in the centre, but he might make them work. Oh, I'm going to see how good they are. Let's see how good they are at the end game. Let's go here. Let's push the pawn. Got to give them something to think about, so try and use our pawn majority before they use theirs. Ooh, okay, wait a minute. Let's get the king up. He's just going to ramp down with this pawn. Yeah, there we go. So if we can get this one, it's a passer at least. So his king's going to have to babysit that, whilst his pawn majority is not going to be supported by his king. Woo! Yeah. Yeah, so now they're starting their pawn majority. We can push our pawn quite easily here. As if he does take, then it blocks off his double pawns. And if he doesn't and pushes past, then it blocks off the double pawns either way. So he's looking to try and get rid of this pawn, so we... Oh, okay, so... Let's play this sensibly. If we push here, then if he does push down, then we can push up. And if he takes, then takes. Yep. So that's the idea. Let's just push this pawn. And if he does push this, then obviously this is a pass pawn and gets promoted. So I'll have to be careful. I think the rhythm's okay with that. Pushes down, we can push up. If he takes, takes. And we can push this pawn. Before we rush into it and go, yes, we can push this pawn in narration mode. We push the pawn. If he takes, then this pawn takes and is supporting. If he pushes past, then we can start manoeuvring some pieces. He does take, so we're going to take and support the pawn. So it's a case of Zugzwang kicking in now. So whatever move he makes is not really going to be advantageous for them. And he does take. So we take here, so it's blocked the double pawns. His king's not going to be fast enough to go around here because this is having to defend this against this pawn. What's the track of our king? Can we get across here and then start leaning onto this pawn? Okay, so he's moved the king. Let's move our king. He can't come too far over here, so we can just carry on going across. Because obviously this pawn is going to ramp up. So if he went here, would we start the motion? I don't know, because he might just get there in time. So he's going up. So we're going to come across now. Obviously looking to hit the pawn. He's going to push down. Obviously he's not going to take. So the king's gone there now. I'm just letting them feel the pressure on this side first. And now we could take with the king. If we take with the pawn, yeah, take with the pawn. Because when it's on this file, it's like a stalemate type thing. But realistically, we've got two passes now. Let's go. He cannot defend against two. Let's get the king up. Let's keep pushing. Still staying close enough. One. You can't actually get it there. One. Yes, then we can get it there. So, let's move the king up. And then this one is getting promoted. Push. Excellent, and they've resigned. So yeah, I think that was, well, it felt like a nice example of utilizing the answer process, keeping things simple. But let's see what the computer says. Okay, so push through, get through this bit here. Captured, got the 20 pointer on, so, excuse me, unsettling the king. But it's only plus 0.6, it's neither here nor there really. So this type of opening, it can go either way, and like I said before at the beginning, it usually ends up being advantageous for black some strange way, you know. So you're attacking this weak pawn here, their king can't go on castle. I mean, even the computer's not really showing that it's a massive advantage, So we wanted to try and keep the pressure. I want to look at this in depth, because we wanted to keep the pressure on them. In my previous games I would have just been castled, taken a little bit of time to get safe, and I think that kind of dishevels the position that I get into, because I allow their knight to get out and their bishops out, and somehow to get some miraculously half decent position. So we grabbed, and they grabbed, so only plus 1.1. Bring the bishop out. It's not really a fan of that bishop move. B3, smart move, isn't it? B3. No, I don't think I'm doing any of that. I'm sorry, computer, but that's not too active. And so we're quite happy they brought the knight out, because it gets to double the pawns. Computer's not a fan of it at all. But I'm feeling a load better. At least I'm not seeing the same tired position that I usually see when this type of opening occurs. So I'm feeling fairly happy that things can happen. We mentioned about the bishop targeting the pawn, putting pressure through to the rook. So feeling really happy. And now we can just push the pawn up and queenside castle. So already a fantastic position. And at this point here, it's gone up plus 4.8. And this was where we were kind of saying, oh well, we can just like leave the bishop and just keep the tension. But then realised behind the bishop is the pawn. So we're going to be up a pawn. Position's not going to be too bad for us. We can double the rooks up, and the g pawn's protected. We've got an extra pawn here. So we've got pawn majority on the A, B, C. So if we can start mobilising and doubling their pawns, then maybe we might be quids in. So we decided to grab, and then we could grab this pawn here, and then doubly protect. And then we were asking the question. Now this is the quid pro quo here. Now let's see if it was done right. It felt okay for me, because we ended up saying, oh, well, let's test their endgame. And based on the position on the board, we felt half decently comfortable that these double pawns here, if we can get our pawn advantage up, then we might be able to hold the course. So we grabbed, and so it dropped a bit. So what is it saying? Rook b6. What's all fancy business like that? Is that rook b6? Takes d1. King take. D8 check. No, I don't know. That looks a bit convoluted to me. I'm not a fan of that. Nope. I'm not a fan of that. Keep that simple. Take. And it's still showing us as a plus 3.9. So that's half decent. You know, plus 4.1. So did we make any major mistakes here? Looks like the idea was correct, getting that pawn majority up. I was tempted to push this pawn up here, but then I kind of thought to myself, well, he can just blast down the middle, and do I lose all the advantage that I've got? If it was a quick game, yeah, I would have done that. But then I would have probably expected them to do this, and this was what I was thinking, well, do we lose out? Do we lose the pawn? No, we can still do this, can't we? Did the computer suggest that? G4, it's saying. Huh? What? G4? I don't understand that. Let me look. So it takes there, and it's saying G4. What's that got to do with the price of apples? Oh, computer's playing strange ways. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. So if that was a speedy game, I would have pushed that pawn up, and I would have been thinking, oh, I'm losing the thread because the king's going to take all the pawns. But in essence, I'd have just done that, and we would have been in that same type of position where the king is going to have to babysit the pawn. and it can't get down here to get this pawn. And even if it did, once it gets behind, then this pawn's ramping home. Okay, right, so that's... We pushed, we've got that position. Any major jips there? Did it go down? Just 5.7. Just not a fan of this activity here, but that's all pretty straightforward stuff. We explained that. And just captured, keeping those doubled pawns. And the rest is plain sailing, isn't it? Yeah. So yes, the answer to chess: smaller pieces attacking higher pieces, and having a look at the pawn structures, especially towards the end game. Is it going to be to your benefit, and can you make it work, or does it need a computer brain for you to actually apply it? If it needs a computer brain to apply it, I'd stay away from it and just go for more simplified, humanized ways of working, a bit like what we did here. And it's still effective, but it's more understandable for yourself.